Welcome to the Activated Storytellers 84th podcast, August 14th, 2008.
This week's story is The Jester and the Straw Roof, a tale from India.
This podcast is part of the Blueberry Network. Blueberry is a community where podcasters and listeners come together. So check it out at blueberry.com. That's Blueberry without the E's.
Hi, I'm Dennis.
And I'm Kimberly.
I'm Zephyr.
And I'm Cassia.
And together we are...
The Activated Storytellers plus one.
Yes, Cassia is back with us, and we are coming to you from Massachusetts. This week we'll be telling you about Valley Forge and bicycling from Pennsylvania to Connecticut. But first, we want to tell you about Blockbusters.
Not Blockbuster movies, as in summer films, but Blockbuster, the movie rental place, which is something that we like to do a lot when we're out here on the road and looking for entertainment, especially me, because I'm a huge movie buff.
Yes, we like to rent movies and watch them in the RV. And Blockbuster has a great plan for renting movies online. And right now they're offering our listeners a $10 savings for the first month. So it's only like $9.99 for the first month, then $19.99 after that. And you get 3 DVDs with 5 in-store exchanges.
And I also understand there are no late fees or due dates on that, which is extremely useful for those of us who are in an RV. And
right. So on our show notes, we'll put a link up to Blockbuster Total Access.
So Cassia is with us, and she's going to be performing with us. We always make her go to work when she's here, and we're going to be doing a story from India about a jester, and a jester is, of course, a joker. And so we happen to have someone who can portray a joker here.
And we'll tell you the story in just a few minutes. But first of all, let's talk travel.
Do we ever travel?
Just a wee bit.
Well, we were in Connecticut just before we came here. And Kimberly and I were able to do some bike riding. Well, actually, we started bike riding in Pennsylvania.
Right. Actually, Valley Forge. I left Valley Forge and biked up to New Jersey.
And I biked from New Jersey to New Jersey. And then we did some biking in Connecticut. We did alternate days in Connecticut. I went from Danbury to Bristol, just outside Hartford.
And the first day I did about 63 miles, and then I did a 50-miler, and you did you did about 30 and then 50.
I did about 55 the second day, but I might add it was very hilly.
Not as many hills as I had on my 63 miles. It was all up.
so anyway, on to more interesting subject matter. While you guys were alternating biking days, Mom was out biking one day, and Dad and I took our own little bike ride around Valley Forge, Pennsylvania, which is a place that we've been a few times before, but it's still always neat to go back. And we saw, what did we see? We saw General Washington's campaign headquarters. What else did we see?
Well, we saw where the troops were encamped, and they have some reconstructed cabins, such as the troops lived in. And while they actually built these cabins themselves, and while that was going on, they lived out in the open, on the ground, in the middle of winter.
And the interesting thing I read was that the highest rate of casualty in that war was not from soldiers that were wounded on the battlefield. They actually had more deaths related to the weather, pneumonia and whatnot, than on the battlefield.
Yes, actually 10 times as many of them died from disease as from wounds. And the disease, not only did they catch diseases from being exposed to the elements and exposed to each other, but also the hospital that they were taken to was, back at that time, hospitals were not like today. They were not really particularly sanitary. And
anesthetic hadn't been invented yet. So in many ways, hospitals weren't a very pleasant place to be. In fact, some soldiers, when they became sick, actually chose to stay at the encampment rather than go to a hospital because the conditions in the hospitals were so poor.
But the most interesting thing at Valley Forge, and by the way, this was during the summer, during the winter of 1777 and 1778, which was a pretty harsh winter, not the harshest that they had to deal with during the war. But the most interesting thing at Valley Forge, of course, is the headquarters of General Washington. And he...
Wait, General Washington, I know him. Didn't he become president?
Generally speaking, yes. And do you know how old he was when he became a general, when he started commanding troops?
I'm going to let Cassia answer that one.
Well, I have no idea. Don't look at me.
My recollection was that he was 21. He was a general at 21.
Huh, impressive.
Very impressive. I don't know how old he was at this time. Let's see. I'm thinking he was probably in his 40s at this time. But as I was saying, he lived in luxury compared to the troops out in the field, who were literally in the field part of the time. But even so, it was very cramped. By our standards today, it was very uncomfortable. He lived in this house with a whole bunch of other people, other officers and officials and so on.
Yeah, I absolutely cannot imagine what it must be like to live in a small, cramped space with several other individuals on a day-to-day basis and nowhere to go.
And then we got up to Massachusetts, and you guys have been having some fun.
Zephyr for a while, and my family and I took him mini golfing, and this was no ordinary mini golf place. I mean, you know, there were lots of mini golf places we could go, but this one it seemed to have Zephyr written all over it.
It was right up my alley. It was called Munster Mini Golf, which I understand is actually a small chain, but it was a large indoor mini golf course, all black light and a couple of strobe lights and, you know, cool theatrical lighting and all kinds of monsters and stuff around the course, which... of course, I recognized the manufacturers of many of the monsters because, you know, I hang out at the same conventions these people do. But, so it was right up my alley. And the final hole was actually a giant clown head, big freaky-looking clown head, and hole in one if you could hit the ball straight into the clown's mouth.
Well, we chose this week's story because, well, Zephyr and a lot of America has become obsessed with the Joker from The Dark Knight. And we think Zephyr does a pretty decent impersonation of him, so we found a story to let him play with that. And this story is The Jester and the Straw Roof. A long, long time ago, in the land of India, there lived the king, which they call Maharaja.
Yes, great. You can just call me handsome. That's okay. Whatever you want to call me, that's fine.
Well, the king had a jester, and the jester would make people laugh and tell jokes.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am tonight's entertainment.
Do the one about the snake charmer again. That one cracks me up.
I have a funny story about snakes. You want to know how I got these scars?
And the jester's name was Gopal. Now, the jester had a wife, and when he was not at court making the king laugh, he was at home dealing with her wrath.
Gopal?
What?
We have a slight problem.
I agree. You can't seem to stop talking.
That is not the problem that I was referring to. The problem that I was referring to is this rather large puddle that is formed on the floor of our living room / kitchen / bathroom / everything room.
Yeah?
Well, I don't exactly know where you grew up, but where I grew up, this wasn't customary. I mean, it's generally not a good thing for there to be a hole in the roof and a big pile of water in the middle of the room. Is there any possibility that we could perhaps fix the roof that has been like this forever?
And I thought my jokes were bad. Where do you expect us to find a roof repairman?
I don't know. You seem to have the answer for everything. Why can't you come up for an answer with this thing?
I think we're having a critical misunderstanding on the difference between an answer and a punchline.
Yes, it was true that even though most of their neighbors had come to the modern age and had brick homes with wooden roofs, they still lived in a straw home with a straw roof.
Okay, I tell you what. I have a plan.
Oh, really?
I'd tell you what the plan is, but I don't want to ruin the surprise.
Well, the wife went out to get the ladder, and she discovered it was missing.
Gopal, where's our ladder?
It's all part of the plan.
Does your plan involve me climbing up an invisible ladder to pick fruit from the tree? Because if it is, I really don't appreciate your plan.
The ladder is otherwise engaged at the moment.
And then she went to the bedroom and discovered...
Gopal, where is the mattress?
It's all part of the plan.
Then Gopal went back to work for the Maharaja, but he was late coming to work.
Gopal, I've been noticing that you've been coming in to work late. That's not very funny.
Aha, ha, ha, ho, he, aha, ha, hu, he, ha. No. I've been coming in a little late because I'm planning a party at my house, And I was wondering if you'd be so kind as to grace us with your presence.
Well, you're trying to butter me up for coming in late, I know. But yeah, sure, I'll come to your party. I mean, as long as there's free food.
Well, the day of the party came, and the heralds announced the Maharaja's arrival. The Maharaja is on his way!
And why are we all named Herald?
I don't know, but they call me Harry.
Herald isn't even an Indian name. Kumar, on the other hand.
That's my name, Harold Kumar.
Well, when the Maharaja arrived, Gopal, the jester, said,
And here we go. Good evening, Maharaja. You didn't disappoint.
Okay, where do I sit?
Actually, if you'll follow me around back, we've made some alternate arrangements.
Around back? What? Me, the Maharaja, around back? Well, hey, sounds interesting. I guess I'll go along with the prank.
And if you'll do me a favor and climb up this ladder.
So that's where my ladder is.
Not a good time, not a good time, not a good time.
Did you say ladder?
Well, I'll give you a hint. I said either ladder or bladder, and it wasn't bladder.
But the ladder is, it's like that bell that we had last year. It's missing some rungs.
Yes, the ladder is missing some rungs. Like me.
Yeah, you want me to sit on the roof, or do you want me to walk on this like stilts? I don't know.
No. You sit on the mattress on the roof.
My mattress! Look, did you happen to steal that one sock I've been missing too? Because I've been looking for that for a really long time, Gopal, and if you took that too...
No, that would be the dryer's fault.
But there's, not to be rude or anything, but there's a hole in the roof. I might fall through.
I'm afraid that's the best we can do with such a humble residence, unfortunately.
Well, I see. You're not doing that well on your royal salary, huh? Okay, I get the hint. I can help you out. I know that with this hole in the roof, the rain is going to get in, so I'll send a pot to put under it. How's that?
The royal salary is a bad joke. I'm afraid I may need something a little more substantial than a pot.
Oh, well, okay. I tell you what, I'll send some of my men over tomorrow, and they'll patch the hole in the roof. How's that? They'll go out to the Heath and get some stuff to patch it with, and we'll write it down in our Heath Ledger.
You know, if I wanted repairs that were that cheap, I would,
okay, I guess that's not going to do it. Okay, I guess there's only one solution. If I'm going to be able to climb up on your roof, it's got to be sturdy enough, so I'll send my royal masons over and build you a new brick house so you'll be all set in case the big bad wolf comes along.
A brick house. I like that.
And so the jester and his wife got a new house.
You know, that was a pretty clever plan, Gopal, but if you were really talented, you would find me that sock.
No.
And that's the story of the jester and the straw roof. If you'd like to leave comments and, give Zephyr a thumbs up or thumbs down on his Joker voice, give us a call at 206-426-0436. Or you can comment on our blog at activated.libsyn.com. And we have a couple of letters that we just got in the mail today. These are a little late getting to us because getting mail on the road is challenging. And these were mailed, I guess, in May. And we just picked them up. These were from some students in Seattle, which actually Cassia was with us for the show that we did in Seattle. And she was out in Washington with us, and now she's out in Massachusetts with us.
I stalk them. I'll be honest. I just follow them around.
You get around as much as we do, don't you? So, anyway, let's hear the letters. These are from some students at Adams School.
Dear storytellers, you were amazing. Both of the stories were excellent. Thank you so much for coming to Adams. I thought it was so cool that you used American Sign Language for us. It was very enjoyable. My favorite part was when she went through the racket in the Mongolian story. It looked hard. I also liked when the boy in the Russian story went around and wept at happy things and clapped at sad things. It was funny, but not violent. Thank you again for showing us those wonderful stories.
And that comes from June, a 4th grader. And we got a lot of comments about the racket, and what she means is the tennis racket, because yes, I do squeeze my body through a tennis racket in the story, and in fact, just about every show that we do.
We worked it into a show that we did years ago, and then the next year we didn't do it, and people have liked it so much, we've been doing it in every show ever since. It's really quite a racket.
And we have another letter. Keisha's going to read us this one.
Storytellers. The performance was awesome. Thanks for coming to Adams. There were some really funny parts in the play. I like being funny. And random. Like, I have cows in my hair. I also like acting. Acting is so much fun. Once I pretended to cry, and Mom asked my sister what happened, and my sister said I randomly started crying. Then I started laughing. Anyways, thanks for coming.
And that is from Sadie, another student at Adams School. And Sadie, you cracked us up. I think we got a budding actor there.
Maybe a budding writer, too.
Yes, very funny. So thanks for your letters, everybody. We only had time to read a couple, but we did get a whole bunch of them.
And we really appreciate receiving letters like this. So, it's great when it happens. Not enough schools do it, in my opinion. So we encourage letters and feedback like this. And who knows, if you send us a letter, if you've seen one of our shows, or even if you haven't, maybe we'll read your letter on the air and embarrass you in front of all your friends.
Right, and you can find our contact information on our website, activated-storytellers.com. Write to us, email us, call us. We love the feedback. Well, we will have links to Valley Forge and Blockbuster Total Access on our blog. And what's coming up for us, the Gozes and Miss Cassia. Zephyr and Cassia are about to head off to camp, but first Zephyr's going to be at HSC. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
I will be at HSC, which is a homeschooling conference in California. I'll be doing my Young Authors Workshop. I'll actually be doing a bit of a revised version of my Young Authors Workshop because I have some new ideas to throw in there. I'm always expanding on it. But I'll also be doing an improv workshop, which will be the first improv workshop I've ever taught. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. We'll play some games, have some fun, and I will also be bringing one of my costumed characters there for the enjoyment of the conference goers. They'll have a little ice cream social on Thursday. I will appear in costume as one of my many alter egos.
So that will be going on. Actually, when you hear this podcast will air August 14th, and you can give us a little hint about who you're going to be at the conference?
I'm afraid I can't give you a hint, but what I can tell you to do is meet me there, and the conference will be located in a general that way direction.
And after the conference, both Zephyr and Cassia are heading back to camp, homeschooling camp.
Yes, not back to school camp where I met Zephyr and where all sorts of wonderful stuff happened. This is my last year at camp, though, which is pretty sad. But he gets to come back for another year because he's a youngin'.
And Zephyr's met a lot of his friends out there at camp. That's going to be in Oregon. And while they're out at camp on the other coast, Dennis and I are going to be taking a little bicycle tour.
And it'll be a place which, according to an old song, you're sure to fall in love with.
So we'll be spending a week on our bicycles and doing some camping. So we will be back with you in a couple of weeks in September. Thanks for listening.
Signing off now, and here we go.
The Activated Storytellers perform at schools and libraries nationwide. On stage, we use American Sign Language, physical comedy, imaginative props, and a giant, oversized book to bring the stories to life. For booking information, check our website at www.activated-storytellers.com, where you can also find out when the Activated Storytellers will be performing near you. Read a story or order one of our audio CDs. Until next time.